there was this new level of excitement. But it's hand-painted marble on the entire perimeter of that school. See how I can make something I love fit into our world will always be a part of every season that we hopefully get to continue to do. So the song that her and Nathan danced to, I'm still can't believe that this is my job.
Hi, everyone. I would like to welcome you back to the podcast. Today, I have with me Sarah Mabberley, who is the production designer for When Calls the Heart. Thanks so much, Sarah, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I also want to give you a big thanks because you were the first one to kind of kick off the When Calls the Heart series this year, doing that great Q&A over on the website. So anybody that's watching or listening, if you haven't had a chance to go check out that Q&A, it's over at heartinmotion.com. Sarah spent a good chunk of time really kind of setting the stage for what her role is and her team, and then also really diving into the first few episodes of season 12. But we couldn't talk too much. So I'm excited, Sarah, that you were able to come back and really let us dig into the good stuff. So thanks again. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So let's start with Union City. We've been to Union City before, but we've never been to Union City like this. So can you talk to us about the process of designing, finding a place to do it, designing, and the challenge of bringing Union City to life?
Yeah, this was a little daunting because, I mean, we don't travel off of our site. We're always in Jamestown, and so we knew that we would have to transform it, which was exciting. I think it's always, as daunting as it is, it's exciting to be able to expand our world and what we get to do, and as a production crew, and I mean, of course, for the actors for different reasons, but for the production crew, it's you get to stretch your legs a little bit, and it's like, oh yeah, like I'm here as a designer, a builder, and let's make the art happen. So we had to first look at our schedule, because where our script is, where our schedules land, that's going to dictate where we're going to be able to build. We can't shoot in front of a building and then have it be Union City the next day. That's just not possible. Yeah. So we worked with our director, with Kristen, and of course the writers and everybody, and we had to massage some of the locations that were originally scripted, be like, hey, if we can put this in maybe this set instead, doesn't change the story, it's just a different location. So there was a lot of teamwork to do that, and we knew pretty early on that we wanted to do a movie theater, that was potentially a script element. And all of us, and I honestly, like, I don't credit myself for coming up with the location. I think we all saw the building that we call Home Depot, that yellow building, Judges. We saw that, and it's just got this just natural bay window that you just can imagine it being a box office. So I think in everyone's head, this was like the obvious place to put it. And then of course, having it being a corner building gave us, a lot of dimension, and then having the biggest, facade behind us, or I guess across from us. So it could be our return. It just, all of those pieces just kind of made sense. And luckily, with some massaging, we were able to make that work. And Kristen was really great with being like, okay, I will, if this was going to be my shot, I'll make it this shot, so I don't see this end. Which, I mean, getting to work with a director, I mean, all of our directors are like that, but that was a blessing. So we didn't have to bust too hard to make that work. And then it was just a matter of taking the amount of time that we had, and if the to-do list is this, then you're like, okay, you only have 2 days to do it, so then the list has to become this, and you have to prioritize, like, okay, well, at least this has to be a different color, we can't have it see this, we have to get something to block this, we have to do new signage. And so then those little, you kind of plug those little bits in and hope that at the end of the day it looks it looks different. And as we were building the movie theater, like, I had so much fun designing that Art Deco style movie theater. I mean, that's that's been a kind of an obsession of mine for
Mhm.
as far as I've been a designer and just somebody who was in, I was in theater, and so there was a lot of joy in being able to dig deep and research that and see how I could make something I love fit into our world, and also then practically what were we capable of doing. And so seeing it come together, our one of our scenic painters, Shade, hand did all of those the marquees, and then our art director, printed all of the posters, which are all true
Yeah.
posters. So she had so much fun researching that,
Yeah.
and then our set deck, of course, being able to source all those really fun elements that you found on the street. It was just a real joy to be able to transform it. And although we only shot it for one evening, and then we right away had to take it all down so
Oh,
that we could actually shoot that direction,
yeah.
a day later.
Yeah.
But it was worth it because you step on set and you feel like you're in a different world, not only a different set, but a different time. And I love that.
It was fantastic. And having been there last September for HFR and knowing right where that building is, I was like, how they transform that. I mean, night and day, completely different
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
phenomenal. And not only that space that you transformed, but you also had to do some work on the judge's office to kind
Mhm.
of disguise that as well, right?
Yeah, so we completely refaced the yellow building. So that was all new plywood that we had painted, and we gridded it as well to give it that texture. So
Yeah.
sometimes you don't really see those details on camera because you're not like right up close, but it had a whole different texture. Like it looked like it was concrete. Like, it was really, really cool. But then then we completely repainted that those two facades. At the end, we didn't touch the judges. We put
Okay.
signage up and then
Yep.
took off the balcony and then added a bunch of decor because you can't really touch that brick, it's really fragile.
Yeah.
So we knew we couldn't do that, but the brick is a common, that's common. You see a brick building, it could be anywhere. But we completely repainted top to bottom the building that's right beside it and all of the trim, which was, I mean, that's a lot of work. So we had to coordinate getting the lift in because that lift is one that we use with shooting crew. And so there was some logistics there that took some time. And I think they ended up coming in on a weekend to accommodate that. But again, like I was worried, because it's hard when you're so used to seeing a building, a set. You're like, well, this is Hope Valley. This is the judges. I was like, oh, I don't actually feel like I'm in Hope Valley, even though I know exactly what facade that is. So I was really proud of the team for being able to take our really lofty goal. I threw a lot at them and they knocked it out of the park, and I couldn't be more proud of them.
No, it was
and
phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And it's so funny that you just kind of say it like it's no big deal. You're like, and we took down a balcony. No big deal. That's what we do.
Yeah. Took the horse hitch out, did all that.
Does it get you excited knowing that now that Wind Calls the Heart is in the 20s and that's a time period that you really like and you've seen what you guys were able to pull off in season 12, like what's to come?
Yeah. Yes. I as much as I love, like, the early 1900s and that, I mean, the 20s was such a dramatic jump. And it was like it's a really bold time for women, which is also really exciting. And that's, I think, design aside, I mean, that they had a huge effect on the design and women's liberation as well. And so being able to address all of that and being able to feel like the influence from these certain characters in this time. So it's more than just making things look Art Deco. It's definitely about adding the whole feel of the era and what that means for the women and for the town folks in Hope Valley. And I think it's really important too to not just throw it all in within our first, 2 or so seasons, because you got to allow for the growth of that era as well. It didn't start out as the jazz era. I mean, you gotta kind of pepper in the beginning of these changes, and then finally you get into the literal swing of things with the jazz era, which is more later in the 20s.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hopefully be able to do that full development and like really kick it into high gear. But it's fun doing the research regardless. You know, you go down a wormhole and you're like, oh, 4 hours later it's like, what did I start? Oh no. Got work to do.
I've got a master's degree in history, so I get it. I can go and hours later I'm like, what have you been doing? So I get it.
Yeah,
Totally.
dangerous.
Yeah. So after Nathan and Elizabeth leave the Buster Keaton show, they're invited by Trudy and Toddy to go to the mansion. We barely got to talk about it in the Q&A, just because we had seen previews, but I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear all about the Gatsby scene. And wow, we think Union City's big, and then we see what's going on with the Gatsby scene. So
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah, that was again like another little thing that they'd mentioned at the top, like, okay, start thinking about this, and even if it's possible. And so I think we all knew that the church would be the obvious set for that, because we wanted to give it the height that it deserved, that grandness, and be able to bring in those chandeliers and you know, potentially build something, which I was so grateful we got to build that whole stage and the backdrop. I mean, I drafted that by hand. Our carpenters did that by hand. That went up in a day, which I still can't believe. You always hand drawings to somebody knowing that they're fully capable of it. You don't question that at all, but it's still always magical when you do see it come to life. And so that was really important. I knew we needed to do that too. We needed something in that space to completely take it away from the church. So that was important. Again, we couldn't do too much in there because this was also a real school heavy, church heavy block script.
Yes.
And so we're like, oh, this would have been great if we didn't have any scenes in here, but I think we have the most scenes in that set that we do the rest of the season. I'm like, okay, so we knew we had to cover the walls more than just transform it. So bringing in things like that, bringing in all of that drapery and that big grand entrance. And then again, Shay, one of our scenic artists, she hand painted the marble that you see all around on the wall, which again, I'm not even sure how much you really can see of it, but it's hand painted marble on the entire perimeter of that school. She did that in half a day.
Oh my word.
Because our wallpaper didn't show up. So yeah, it didn't show up on time. So she had to pivot and paint it. And I was like, yeah, that was wild. And then I knew that of that time, especially, we're not necessarily entering into like new architecture yet. They're still very much living in their parents' old mansions. And so I wanted to still have that old-timey Victorian sort of feel, like, you know, old money, but with these, you know, young kids, the next generation of the household, who are heavily influenced by the new and shiny. And so I wanted to bring in a lot of elements, like the furniture, like the lamps, you know, and the floor, and then of course, I mean, honestly, like we did 50% of that was set deck, but those costumes, like Barbara literally finished off the, you know, the whole look. Like there's no way it would have looked anywhere near, you know, 1920s, you know, jazz era swing Gatsby without those costumes. So I think collectively, and of course with Andrew and his vision, and then of course Kristen, just, I mean, I just adore her as a director. Her vision, that was, I remember her talking about it, and like the first time I was just like shaking. I was so excited to do it. And you know, and then just being able to bring in the choreographers and seeing all of like those layers get added on to the few things that we did. I mean, I watched the dailies and I was giddy. I was so excited. So the whole journey on the Union City transformations was a lot of fingers, you know, crossing fingers.
Yes.
A lot of like eagerly waiting the one-liners and the scheduling to come out, and then just hoping that that we were going to be able to get it all done on time. And it was close. I mean, it always is, but it was real close.
Barbara shared that it was really close, even getting all of those dresses in
Yeah. Yeah.
time.
Those were all orders. That's the thing. It's like, we only have so many resources in Vancouver. And so you're really relying
Yeah.
on orders coming in, and you're like, all it takes is
Mhm.
one hold at the border or something,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
all of our costumes are gone, or again, our wallpaper, it didn't show up. So you have to be really prepared for the what ifs.
Yeah. That Gatsby scene, I think, was a really good example of all of your teams and the talent all coming together, and creating something that it just blew us away how amazing it was. So,
Yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
designing, when you're, trying to decide, the lamps are going to go in here, the curtains are going to go in here, how does that work for you as far as like, okay, we can create these things, we can rent these things, we can purchase these things. Like, how do you plan all of that out navigating?
Um, well, we talk, of course, you read the script, and the script of like, they sit down and have a cocktail, or they from across the room, they meet each other. So there's a lot of storytelling, obviously, within the script that can help us figure out like what we need. And I always do my script breakdowns, and I list what the script actually tells me. And then I'll talk to the director and say, okay, so what are you envisioning for blocking? And like bringing in that bar
Yeah.
that was in that scene. I in my head I was like, I didn't want to bring too much furniture in, just because I know the space, the size,
Yeah.
and how many extras and background that we were going to be bringing in. So it wasn't my initial reaction to want to add that in. And but when she explained her choreography, and how she was
Mm,
doing that one shot and the tracking, I was like, oh, that's when you get to see someone else's vision, and support that by. And so she said, could we bring a bar or something in? And we were, I was like, yeah, of course. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you have to be prepared to get it out of there if it's not going
yeah.
to work as
Yeah.
well. But at this point, I always know that Andrew likes a certain number of practical lights, because he always likes to have a reason for light to be coming from a certain direction. And so that this is your space, and you kind of know how many shots and angles they're potentially going to get, and so you have to be able to stagger your lights. And that just comes from knowing your team and knowing your shooting crew, and what they typically require, and what it's going to look like at the end of the day. And you always have extra on hand just in case. um and that's the thing, I do like to have a little bit more than we might necessarily need, because it's easier to take away than try and find on the day.
Yeah.
um and you want to fill the space, you want to make it feel lively and real. And it's just, and you have to understand space, and just, I don't know, it's like I can always picture it before it happens. And I rely on that, like, feeling of the space to dictate what I'm asking, like, my decorator to go out and source. And then together, him and I, we just, I go like, I would like X number of lamps, we need like a seating area, we need a bar, we need lights for the stage, we need, and then of course, then the measuring comes, is like, how much footage of drapes do we need, and how are we going to rig it? And that just comes from knowing, like, those, you always have those questions kind of preset in your brain. So it's like, okay, if I need window treatments, then I'm going to need window hardware, and that checklist just kind of happens. But I sit down with Blake and his team, and which that used to be like, Blake is doing the job I used to do.
Got it.
And so that helps as well, knowing what he needs, because it used to be me. And he makes his list, and then he knows, and his buyer and his assistant knows where to go to get them. And we hope that they have it, and we hope that it's in our budget, and we make it happen. And if we can't find something, we talk to our director, we talk to our showrunner, and just say, hey, like, this is what we can find, I know this is kind of what we wanted, we're struggling with this, it's just not available. And we can just usually pivot and make it work. And but more often than not, we make it happen.
And sometimes, going into a season, hey, down the road, we're going to be doing this thing. But most of the time, your turnaround, you've said in the past, it's like 13 days. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, usually we don't get that much ahead of time script info. This year was a little different, and they kind of gave me the heads up, which was really really nice. But yeah, typically like I start 4 weeks before day one of shooting. So the prep leading up to day one is a little bit more, and then we shoot for 13 days, and within that 13 days they're shooting a block, but we also get a new script, and so we're prepping for those 13 days. So as soon as that's done, then we start shooting for 13 days, also prepping the next 13-day shoot. So yeah, typically 13 days is all we've got for that turnaround. But I mean, that's, with that being said, not everything happens day one of shooting, and so within that 13 days of shooting, you depending on where it's at in the schedule, you gain a few days here and there.
Got it. Well, and Barbara reminded me, she was like, well, yeah, you're prepping for the 13 days ahead, but you're also still in that current block. So
Exactly.
you're constantly juggling back and forth.
Yeah, you're always doing 2 blocks at once, essentially, because you're not completely done prepping as soon as cameras landed and you're shooting. So you're doing 2 blocks at a time. 4 episodes.
Okay. So you also had we always like to try to figure out where these places are. So we had Lucas's office, which was in Capital City.
Mm-hmm.
And that was filmed where?
That's the judges.
You do use the judge's office quite a bit.
So often.
It's so big, right?
Because it is one of our bigger sets. Yeah.
Okay. The gambling room in Union City.
Judges.
Which was okay. Card table. So do you go out and rent a card table? Do you? Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a card table on hand. Like, I mean, we've got the one of the other tables in that room we did pull from the saloon, but the hero table was a card table that we rented from a rental house in town.
Yeah, got it. The Schwartzman School.
One guess.
The judge's office, which was fantastic, by the way. And the Granville Prison.
That was in the daycare.
Oh yeah.
So the old Gowan's office.
Okay. All right. Any of those particular sets that you'd like to share about?
Yeah, honestly, like that Schwartzman set was really, really important to me. Not just because, it was again another opportunity to go outside of our world. But it, this was a real place. It's based on a real place. So I wanted to do it completely accurate. And I knew that we were gonna have be bringing in actors who were hard of seeing and vision impaired and if not blind and so I did a lot of research on what they would actually do in these schools and to make their students comfortable and so yellow became a really important color for me to use because I mean, of course there's different levels of vision impairedness and so yellow was a color that if you weren't 100% fully blind you'd still be able to maybe see the color yellow, and so I thought that would be a really important color. It's also in a fun happenstance, it's the same, not the same color, but of course the Canfield's home is also yellow, and so it sort of tied in the fact that when they got there they felt like they were at home as well. So that just like that was a beautiful didn't intend that, but as soon as we realized that, we're like, this is really special. And being able to bring in elements, the map, the globe, those are all raised topography, and so they could touch it and feel it, and we had our record player come in, because these are all elements that aid in the education differently than maybe our normal schools or our schools do, where we don't cater to them. And so I'm not being very articulate in this because it's hard to kind of explain how important it was to make and do this right. and of course we had to transform the judges again, which was always is always fun. But we did something different by being able to use those front double doors.
Mm-hmm.
Usually we can't because we see Main Street, but we made it into a little covered patio, which they could use as an entrance, which was fun. I was like, oh, this is a new idea. And then I turned the fireplace, which of course we're always seeing, and it's the most apparent judge's feature. So then we covered it and made it into a bookshelf. And it was special. That one was really special. I also offer like please feedback, hopefully we get to go back into that school. And so I would love to use this as a learning opportunity. Mm-hmm. So if there's anybody who's like, well, maybe they probably would have done it this way instead. I always say I never go into something knowing fully, and I'm always willing to learn and be educated. And so, this offered that opportunity, and hopefully it continues to offer that, if we get to revisit the school. So yes, that was important. The Schwartzman one, the Union Club one was fun. I think, it was just another way to bring in a little bit of spice to the show, and a different tone than what we're used to. And we don't actually get to see this element, but I was really excited about it. We made custom stained glass window panels that had the Union Club logo on it. Those were meant to go in the windows, but we couldn't on the day. It just caused lighting issues, so we ended up having to not use those, which was too bad. But then we built up that back bar and we rented a whole large bar, custom made a marble top, bar top for that. Completely rebuilt the back shelving and the glass, which could tilt so that the camera could shoot right into it without seeing the reflection, and it had the Union logo on it. So that one had a lot of really fun details that, again, we're not, we got to stretch our legs a little bit on and push the limit a little bit, to give it that feel, because we are so used to seeing that space. So it becomes a challenge to completely change it into a million different sets in a million different cities in a million different ways. And so I find the fun in that, for sure.
Well, you pulled it off fantastically. I will say, you were talking about the Schwartzman School, and I think from this side of it and watching, we knew how big of a deal this was for Angela to go there. We knew what Minnie was struggling with. And so for us to even watch as they walk into that space, we felt it. We felt, this is the way you designed it. We felt like this is a safe place for Angela to go. This is a place where she can call home. And it translated very well on this side of it. And I think we all had in our mind, if we do get a season 13 and, Angela is going back and forth, there is a chance that this could come back. And so it felt safe. It felt welcoming. So fantastic job.
Thank you. Good. I'm glad.
Yeah. All right. So now that the season has ended, do you have a favorite set from season 12?
Honestly, I think that the exterior movie theater and the street, those really were my favorite sets. Just the amount of work that went into that, and the amount of transformation that the crew was able to undertake. I'm still inspired by their hard work.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. I loved it so much. I love a marquee.
It was great.
I love a marquee.
Do you ever, when that scene is going to, probably end up being 2 minutes long, do you ever just want to go, can you film the whole episode here?
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, it comes down to even shots. I'm like, can we go wide on this?
But get that detail, but get that.
Yeah. I mean, so you can't be too precious about things. And that's why, I love being able to talk about it selfishly. I love being able to say, hey, what you didn't see? But and it makes those sets live on, and that's the thing. It'll always be on screen, which is really Like, it's so cool to think that. I'm still can't believe that this is my job. So being able to see that little, little thing that was a little idea in my head, be up on a TV screen is glorious. So I really think that that was my favorite set. And I loved Allie's birthday party too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I know we talked about that one, but I
But
loved
we barely talked about it. So if you want to share anything with that, when you're welcome
it
for
was
it.
just, I mean, it was just fun to take a different angle on a party.
Yeah.
We haven't had a teenage party yet. And
Yeah.
and so being able to do that and tie it into our new era, and being able to research and bring in like really legitimate elements and party design elements,
Mm-hmm.
it was just so much fun, and it looked so full and so exciting and fun on the it just took me back to being a teenager
Oh yeah.
years and years and years and years and years ago. So um you know and then of course the horror of knowing that I'm going to have a teenager in 10 years, and that they're
Just
going to
don't
have to
think
go to
about it yet.
parties. Yeah, I know it's fun, as I see his excavator toy in my
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I really liked Allie's party as well. That was
Well, and
fun.
even the way that, Elise had them shoot from way up above down and be able to
Yeah,
see even above the streamers was just like, this
I
is the saloon? This is amazing.
yeah, I think that's what sets the season apart, even more so, is uh literally the new angles that,
Oh yeah.
that we
Yeah.
took, both design wise, camera wise, storyline wise. I mean, we really, but it still felt like, the
Yeah.
Hope Valley and the
Yeah.
and the show that comforts us so much. So it's finding that balance that I think
Yeah.
doesn't matter what department you're in, you always want to find that balance, and you want to owe, you owe the show it's the credit that it's deserved, and the heart and the story and the characters, but you want to make it new, and you want to make it exciting, and you never want it to be stale. Everything has to go somewhere. You have to go up,
Yeah.
and you can hit those bumps along the way, but there's always a forward trajectory, and you can avoid that, and so being able to find that balance and make it happen is really, you're proud of everybody. We all just deep breath at the end of the season.
Well, it's really interesting because, if you think about like the way that it plays out, it's like you get a script and then it's like, what can you do with that? But what was really fun, I visited with Allie Devereaux last week, and she shared the flip of that is when they're able to see what you guys are able to create from a script, then that even gets their thinking going. Okay, if they can do that, what else could we do? Right. So it's almost like they're inspired reverse about like, okay, what can we do in season 13 based on? So great job,
Yeah.
security.
Yeah, thank goodness. Yeah, it's been a slow industry year, so yeah, thank goodness. Yeah, and I think that's what is really nice about our crew too, is we do have such close relationships with our writers and our showrunner, and having that open dialogue is really exciting, like
Yeah.
being a part of the overall like big picture. You want to serve their work as well,
Yeah.
like you, and it's really important to me to know what their vision was, that not only to help me understand the script even further, but
Mhm.
it's not my show, it's all of our show, and so being
Yeah.
able to take their words and do that their words justice is really important. But that's the part of being a team. That's why I bring on the team members that I do, is because I know that I'm not the only one with the good ideas by any means, and so I rely on these other people to either tell me I'm being silly or
Yeah.
offer their genius as well. We're all geniuses, because we all love what we do and we take a lot of
Yeah.
pride in it, and that only makes for a better story.
Absolutely. So favorite scene was the Union City outside. What about most challenging to
The
create?
train, the
For
train.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that hands down the most challenging. Lofty, I think
Yeah.
that's the word I use a lot. It was lofty. It was a big set, a lot of elements. And just our timeline was really what was the hard part in making that really, really work. Um, and of course the massaging of the scripts, having it being block one, and everybody is still coming together and everything is still kind of working out. So not really knowing where certain things land story wise, and being able to work with any last minute changes, which is normal, completely normal. It just makes for a challenging task at hand. And so, but I knew it was something that we had to do. Like, this was just an obvious, like, of course we need a train. Like, we're so used to just saying goodbye to people and then not seeing the story that happens in between cities. And how cool is it to be able to do that, and then being able, from a technical point of view, like, okay, so the hallway isn't going to move, but the train, the dining cart is, and being able to go, okay, so how are we going to build this, and being able to work, I'm not an architect. I can draw things. I go like, okay, I think this is how this is going to work logistically. We're going to build two separate pieces, and then we'll insert something to hide that gap, because of course you can't have friction, but you can't have a gap either. And so being able to have that in and out insert, so when we're shooting the hallway, you don't see a gap, but when we're moving the train cart itself, you can remove that so that there's no friction. And then just working with the other departments and the rigging, because the train car ceiling moves up, like it flies out. It's a fully curved, full half circle ceiling on top of that train car, over top the train car, and then over top the hallway. And so to be able to light it from above, you've got to be able to move that out. But on the wider shots, you need that ceiling. So being able to work with other departments is always fun to do that. And every single department had a hand in that set, and we were staining it up until the actors landed, which was terrifying.
Don't touch the walls.
Oh yeah, I was like, give us a minute. Like, when you're blocking, don't touch the walls. It's you're gonna be sticky, and Barbara's gonna get real mad at me.
But a train is not going anywhere, so it's worth the investment. And so good chance that we can see it again in season 13.
We kept it, so it's there. It exists still. It'll need some touch-ups for sure.
We've got people still going to, or in Capital City, we've got people now in Cape Fullerton. People are coming in out all the time. So
exactly.
So do you think that, if you're able to use it in season 13, do you do all that shooting like in one chunk because of just the magnitude of setting it all up?
That's what we did. And we did it not last season, but the season before, with all of those flashback scenes when Lucas is shot. So we did. Neill shot all of those. He was our first block director, but then he shot all of the flashbacks that we see throughout the season, instead of bringing in all of those different directors. But then this time around, we had Mike Roll shoot his block, and then Martin came in early to shoot his block scenes, which was always great to. I was excited to see him so early. So we shot all of those out in the first 2 days of sorry, not even the first 2 days. We shot the saloon scenes first so that we could get the saloon out of there. Then we shot the train. We got the train up, and then shot the 2 blocks worth of scenes in the train, and then said bye to it.
And hope that the storyline doesn't change at all, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Like, there was a fear that in the last block, we weren't sure the train was potentially coming back for them to be leaving on. And so I was like, oh no, okay, hold on. We stored it. It's gonna take some time, but hope to see it again.
Absolutely. Well, it was beautiful. So we're excited too. All right, switching gears just a little bit. Let's talk dream sequences. So first of all, we love that Joy Gregory wrote this in as just something kind of fun and lighthearted, giving Elizabeth and even Nathan an opportunity to kind of like dream what they were really thinking, but it also gave you guys an opportunity to have some fun with the sets and to plant some things. So can you talk a little bit about designing those dream moments?
I heard about them before I read the scripts, and I thought it was a joke. Not because it was anything to laugh about, but I was like, there's no way we get to do this. Like, this is hilarious. And then Aaron I talked to Erin and I was like, oh, this is real. Oh, good, great, awesome. Love this.
Yes.
And so we knew about the first one was we shot the barn one first.
Yes.
And of course, and I mean, it's a dream, so we could do whatever we wanted. There was no reality to it. So the placement of the water pump, which has never been in the barn, and things like that. And then I just imagined the secret garden, obsessed with that movie, right? And
oh yeah,
so,
oh yeah.
And my cousin, one of my distant cousins, is actually the girl in it.
Oh, there you
go. And so I knew we wanted to create kind of that like really fantastical coming through the vine kind of idea.
Yeah.
And then, you know, because you're like, what would my dreams be? You take a little influence, right? And then we shot and then Erin sent me a list. And at first, like, I saw this list and I was like, what is this list? Like, it was just no context. This was our list. And it was just a bunch of the random things that she wanted in Elizabeth's house. And I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense to have all of these things that are just memories in your head. Like, her house in this dream sequence is like her memory. This is her brain, and we are entering her brain. And so there's going to be all of these little memories that have taken place throughout their entire friendship and then relationship. I was like, brilliant. This is brilliant.
Yes.
Oh, and then just watching the dailies, like some of the outtakes on that, just hilarious. And then when they said, okay, we're gonna bring the sheets in. So we just hung the sheets. And then the special effects did had the big Ritter fan in.
Yes.
And of course, I think it was Martin did that.
Yes, he did.
And Andrew, I mean, they're the ones who really brought it to life. Like, we just put the stuff there, and then their genius, the blocking and just the cinematography of it was what made it into the dream sequence. Otherwise it would have just been a bunch of weird things that didn't make sense at all. So again, it was a teamwork, but having those discussions with Erin, it's just like, that's when you see like the joy that we all have while doing this show. And just seeing the smile and the laughter. And she's just like, do you think we can do this? Do you think we can have this? Like, is that too much? I was like, we're doing it. We're going to put it all in there. They don't like it, they can take it out, but we're going to do it.
Well, because she knows on this side of it, we're going to catch a pitcher of apple juice sitting in there. We're going to catch the potatoes. We're going to catch the muffins. What else was there? Muffins, apple juice, potatoes.
Rutabaga?
Yeah. Is it rutabaga? We've always had that discussion. Like, what is it? Yeah.
Rutabaga. There was batter from when they were making. Yeah. There was batter. Oh my goodness.
It was
there was cider or like apple cider.
But that's the way to do it. Like she knows we're going to be catching it, and she knows that we're going to get a kick out of it, and we're going to be talking about it, and we're going to do it. You can do it in a dream.
And there was a bunch of photos too. Yeah, that was that was the, there were so many. I can't even remember all of them. I'll find her text. I'll bring it up.
Oh yeah.
So that was just, and then just Kevin just being like, all right. let's do this. That was so much fun, and I was like giddy waiting to see the dailies. I was like, I have to see how this turns out. I need to see how they shoot this, because otherwise it's just, I just have these ideas. And so I love that. And again, we went in a different direction, and that the crew was just so excited. Every time we were on a new set, which was just like kind of out of our norm, there was this new level of excitement and joy, and just the ideas were flowing. Like, okay, what can we do? So there's too much playing on set, too much.
It stings to have fun at work, right? Yeah. So one thing we have learned, shifting just a little bit, we know that weather can always be a factor in Hope Valley. Were there any scenes this year where you guys had to pivot and rethink the design because of weather or other challenges like that?
Honestly, this thank goodness. Thank
everything
goodness.
Lined up. Yeah.
Everything. Like, I think Mother Nature knew.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know what? let's not give them any more stress.
Yeah.
They've got enough. So we everything that we planned for happened. You know, and a little rain, like we're super used to that, and we get those fly swatters for rain cover, but nothing had to be redesigned.
That's awesome.
And when we shot the movie theater, again, it was supposed to rain, didn't. And we were like, thank you. Thank you, Mother Nature.
Well, and even Mother Nature with the horse ride and the bareback and all of that. And it was like, let's go and capture that beautiful moment. I mean, that happened. That worked out really well.
Yeah. 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 So many beautiful car scenes this year.
And oh, gosh. And I heard in the last episode when Minnie and Elizabeth are talking, and they had to end up like ADRing that whole moment because, but you know, it's outside of Elizabeth's house. So, you know,
right.
Nothing that really impacted set or anything because it's outside of Elizabeth's house.
That's the thing. That's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. This was such a unique season for me because I was there for the shooting a lot less because I was so busy with the paperwork of things and the prep of things. And then even the wrap of things, trying to figure out the logistics of like removing the train car and stuff. So I didn't get to be on set for a lot of those more intimate, less set driven scenes. And so, I mean, I didn't even realize, I didn't even know that, that they'd have to do that. But of course, yeah. I mean,
this is why you love the daily so much, right? Because you're like, I've got to see how it all played out. That's awesome.
What did I miss today on set?
Yeah. Any last minute changes that you guys had to do that ended up working in your favor for anything?
I mean, not on my end. That's the thing. We everything that we had to shoot, we got to shoot without pivoting. Even all the cabin work, you know, you're always, because those are really important scenes that were outside, and we dug that well and had it was a beautiful well. I actually wish we'd seen more, like the rock work that was done, beautiful. That didn't get affected, but we did, like, we had to plan for that. That was the thing. Peter had wanted the well in a different area, and I said, this gets really muddy right here. Can we perhaps move it and make it more under the tree line, so that if we have to rig like a tent over, then we can, and it's not going to flood here and get muddy. It stays a little bit drier. And so, I mean, I guess that kind of pivoted his plan a little bit of where he was shooting it, but it's Peter, and he's just like, yeah, great,
go with it, right?
Awesome.
There's a reason why he closes out the season, right?
I know. Yeah. So moments like that, you know, but that wasn't that big of an issue. I think when we did the lover's tree, and what we had Shay do is we made fake bark. We did like a latex, because it had to be weather friendly. We had to be able to carve it, but you know, we had to be able to paint it. So there was a lot of elements where we landed on creating this latex cover for the tree. But because it was in the colder season, it took a lot longer to dry and adhere to the you know, safely adhere to our tree without damaging it. And so that we were under the gun on that one. So the weather did play a little bit of a factor in how quickly that one got done. She did a lot of last minute cameras landing work just to get the finishing touches. And I feel like that was one of the things where I'm like, oh, if only we had a little bit more time. I mean, it still looked beautiful and no one would ever notice, but you know, us as the artists on that end, we're like, that would have been nice to have another day to do that. But it's still, I mean, she knocked it out of the park. It was beautiful. Absolutely. But yeah, the weather definitely played a factor in that one. But I mean, for lack of a good story, I'm just so grateful that we actually didn't have to pivot that much.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because of the weather. So
yeah. So you had mentioned when we did our Q&A at the beginning, I guess it was about episode 4, to keep our eyes out for some photos, some signs, that there's always details in the mercantile, the jail, the saloon, the schoolhouse. One of the first ones that we noticed was we call it the keeper photo, where Carson took a picture of Nathan and Elizabeth and said, that's a keeper. And so can you talk about who decided it was time for that photo to come back out on Nathan's desk?
Aaron. There we go. Yeah. Aaron texted us and asked for that. We're like, of course. So yes, that was her. And I mean, we're always thinking about ways, but she initiated that one for sure.
I visited last week with Kevin and I said, we noticed it. And I said, it's your opportunity to make up the story. Like, where has it been all this time?
Yes.
So he said it's been in Nathan's desk the whole time that Carson gave it to him, and he finally put it out on his desk. So that's what we're going with.
Yeah, that's something that's along the lines of what I was thinking, that or like a sock drawer or something.
Were there some other fun little things that you guys kind of laid out hoping that we might catch, or to bring some of those special moments to the season?
Yeah, we made the band in our Gatsby party. We gave tribute to Neill Fearnley, named the band after him.
Oh,
so that was really special, especially, you know, and Liam's a part of our team, and
nice.
so it's just that memory, and that that heart just will always live on. There's always going to be, whether it's a little tribute like that or just the spirit, will always be a part of every season that we hopefully get to continue to do. So there was that.
That's great.
I feel silly because I forget the name right now, but in the saloon, we've got that sandwich list.
Okay.
And there's I want to say it's Jack's. It's like a Jack. We named some of the characters. It's like their sandwich.
Okay.
So we did that. If you look in the mercantile, or well, I mean, the mercantile always has fun things on the board. So there's that. I mean, and that's the thing. I don't even know sometimes what scene or what block things are on, because Satire just has fun with that. That's something we provide them with things, and then they do it. But in the back of the ads in our comic books, we pay tribute to like our children, the dogs on set. All of that is like, all of the names on there are always going to be somebody from our team. Same with the wanted posters. There's always a new crew member wanted poster. I believe this year Matthew, who was our lead, his is up there.
Do you guys like rock paper scissors, like who's going up on the board?
Honestly, it's whoever talks nicer to me.
Nice.
I could probably make money off this. I would never do that, but
awesome.
And like in the school, we've decided to like start keeping projects from previous seasons up there. So like when we did the model, like the 3D model of Hope Valley, we've got some of the houses
up above
up there.
Yes.
Above.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that that we like to hint about and like to throw in. Oh, one of the other I just remembered one that was in Aaron's in the dream sequence. It was the song. So the song that her and Nathan danced to at the music festival, we put the record cover up on the wall. We did that.
Yes.
There we go. There was like so yeah. So then of course a lot of Easter eggs are memories, at least in Aaron's. So there was a few, maybe not as many as normal because we had so much other stuff going on.
All the other stuff,
but it's always such a big goal of ours. Because like, and sometimes it's not even inside jokes, because you guys see everything. So nothing can be an inside joke anymore. But it's still that idea of like, you know, like, oh my gosh, we should do this. This will be so funny.
Let's just play with them a little bit. Let's just play with them.
Yeah. Entertaining.
Oh, and we're gonna be talking about it. So
exactly. It's just fun. It's just the fun part of the job. I mean, it's all fun, but
so what's your favorite little Easter egg of the season?
That's a really good question. Honestly, I mean, it's got to be the Neill tribute but just because yeah. That was the hardest part of the season. And then so being able to just keep that little memory alive, and knowing that whenever we were stressed or whatever, knowing that he was laughing at us somewhere.
Yeah.
He was always in the room. Yeah. He was always in the room. So yeah, that really was. But on a fun note, I really enjoyed the comic books and all of the all of the little fun personal additions that got to go in that, and the fact that, you know, it was Mike Roll's baby. And just
it's not even like decorate the cover. It's like the whole comic book. Like
yeah,
the details are amazing.
yeah, yeah. Our comic book artist Diana did an incredible job in that. Our art directors, she did, I mean, the coloring, and then of course making the ads in the back, and then just Mike, and having to rein him in, be like, we have deadlines, stop being so creative.
Yeah.
Stop coming up with so many great ideas. It's only a small comic, we can't put it all in. But it was hilarious. I loved it. I loved seeing the kid come out in Mike. It was the best part of that.
So you talked about several times where Aaron will, send you a list, or Aaron's like, put this in here. Are there other actors who will talk with you about their particular, like their homes or where they're at, where it's like, maybe we should do this? How does that collaboration work?
Yeah, I mean, and mostly that's just me grabbing them from their quiet time stroll down Main Street, be like, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
And breaking the silence. And just really just being like, hey, I got your house coming up, you know, the Hickam house gets flooded, and
Yeah.
just being like, is there anything, how did you envision
Yeah.
your home? And same with Chris, and then asking, you know, it's I guess we really designed that last season. We just got to expand on his offices this year. But you know, taking the character, asking the actor what their personal little Easter eggs would be. And we are also close on set, so it's really nice to be able to just literally just, you know, smack them on the back, be like, hey, what do you want?
Yeah.
It's really that simple. Everyone's so easy to talk to, and you know, and talking with Martin and some of the actors, especially Martin in particular, about certain props. You know, he always likes to carry books around.
Yeah.
And those books always have a meaning to them. So top of the season, it's, you know, hey Martin, what books do you want this year? When do you want them? You know, is there anything that you want in you know, the orchard this year? That one was a cool set too, we brought back a lot of the items that used to be with the oil derrick sets.
Oh yeah.
That tent was the original oil derrick set. And so that's part of not only getting to use what we've already gotten our lockup, but bringing back an element of that character, and being able to reuse it, because of course he had it in his shed out, you know, behind his house. He still got it. So
but in a completely different way, like Henry's transformed now, and it's still fun that you can look at it from a completely different perspective. So
yeah. And I love that, you know, that's the fun part of his character, of course, because I mean, we haven't seen his house or anything, so we don't have much, you know, there isn't much a world that we can build around him, except with props. So this became you know, and he doesn't have his office anymore, so this was like the next fun set that we got to do for him. And it was beautiful. I mean, that orchard is just a beautiful location, and there's not much we have to do to it. But I liked seeing where that storyline went and the things we got to build for him.
So that's your collaboration with, actors and connecting with them. What about your collaboration with the showrunner? Because we know we've got a new showrunner coming up.
Yeah. I mean, that again, that's phone calls. That's the scripts come out, you get the chance to read the scripts, and then the phone calls start happening, and it's really just a breakdown and a run through of the new sets. And for me, I think the most important thing to talk about is, if we're introducing something new, especially early on, is where we see it going down throughout the season down the road, because I don't want to throw everything at it right away. And that was kind of something with the orchard is okay, we're seeing it set up for the first time. How much is this company going to grow? What are the next elements that will indicate that it's growing and it's expanding? And so having that discussion of our timeline, like our own personal timelines within our story, and how that can translate into the design. Because at first I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna have a little side tent that's gonna have the roasting machine. We're gonna have a big wooden sign. But but at the end of the day, you know, we didn't need that stuff yet, because that would have been throwing too much at it right away. And so who knows where we get to take it in season 13. But it was important to kind of strip that one in particular down to allow it to breathe and to grow, and to allow those certain things to maybe even potentially become script points throughout upcoming seasons. So that's the type of conversation that I like to have with the showrunner. And you know, it's so much of this is their brain baby, and so I want to not just throw my ideas and my interpretation, because we all have different interpretations. So finding out their intentions is so important. And sometimes they have no idea, and that like because not that they have no idea, but it's that they trust our you know, whether director, me, Barbara, you know, whoever it may be, whatever department, Andrew, you know, like, hey, I've written this knowing full well that you're going to have a brilliant idea. So you pitch your ideas to me too. So then that becomes the other end of it, is me coming up with my little ideas, and then, you know, ideas, and then we kind of meet in the middle and figure out where we need to land with it. Because it's important just to have those open discussions. To allow those creative juices to flow and really build on a concept. Got it.
Any other fun stories, backstories about any of the other props that you guys brought in this season?
The roaster, the hazelnut roaster, that was a custom build. Our special effects coordinator, Sammy Galley, we did lots of research on what these things look like and what they could be, and but you can't find them. I mean, they just don't exist. And so I kind of drew something up really quickly and said, I think it needs to be about this big. And then I gave it to him, and he's a master blacksmith, like actually. And so he fabricated that from scratch. And it works and everything. And so that was a really cool custom build to come onto our set. And it weighs so much. It's so heavy because it is this genuine. So very, very proud of that. And then of course, with the expansion of our radio shows, we've had to bring in more microphones, and we're bringing in like more technology in that end of things. And so our props department actually has a connection here from the radio museum. And so we are able to source genuine, you know, of the time microphones and equipment, radio equipment from them, which is, it's so cool to have that bit of history on set. A couple of things we couldn't find, so we did actually have to make like some stands and things. But again, our blacksmith, our true genuine blacksmith, was able to make that for us. So thank goodness honestly for him, because there's a lot of things that we need him to make. But those are my favorite. Those are my two elements of this season that were quite different, and showed honestly what we're capable of doing as a team. And I'm really proud of them for pulling those ones out of their hats.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So that would be what you would say is your like favorite historical piece?
Yeah.
Because, okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah. The comic book is probably like my overall funnest creation. That was just a bunch of fun. But you know, when it's so important when working on like a historical piece, because you want to be genuine, but it's hard to find. And we don't necessarily have too much in our market to be able to get real. And so when you do get it, it's pretty special.
So things like we've talked big picture sets, we've talked some of the frames and the different things like that, but we often they're just so built into the scene that we don't necessarily process all of the newspapers that you guys have to create, the maps, the documents, coins, finding coins, right? So do you typically like make all of that in-house, or is this just one of those things where you've done this so long that you know exactly like who you're going to reach out to?
No, all of any paper, whether it is a newspaper, a flyer, paperwork, documents, file folders, we make all of that in-house. So our graphics designer and our art director, you know, with kind of take all the notes, you know, obviously do their script breakdown, know what the content has to be.
Yes.
We have a lot of built-in like the logos and stuff, like from the Valley Voice, from all of that, you know, so some of that's already kind of pre-designed from previous seasons, but they completely build all of that out of scratch, you know, and all of it for the most part can be shown on screen. We'll have like the writing will be genuine. It's a contract, it's a medical report, it's you know, a handwritten letter. All of that is done in-house. We'll print the bigger things at our print shop, but other than that, we have all of the items and tools and stuff that we need to produce in-house in our office. Like those, I mean, oh my goodness, Desiree did such an incredible job this year. We had so many files and paperwork in the jail this year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, with him organizing the files cabinet, all of those. I mean, there was like an assembly line of all of the stuff that had to go in it, and like, you know, and sometimes we'll beef it up with some blank paper. But you know, everything can be prepared for like the first few pages to be, you know, and then all of I love every time she makes photos, like we'll get the photos, whether we have to take the photos ourselves, which we do, or we'll have our on-set photographer, or if it's an ND character, we'll have cleared images that we can use. But she prints it out on you know, kind of particularly colored paper. She'll cut the edges so that it has the perforated kind of edging, and then she smears it and gives it that look. Like, it is so beautiful. The amount of detail that goes into that paperwork, it's one of my favorite parts to see that being produced. I love we do props show and tell, so a week or so prior to our block happening, whatever props that we have at the moment, we put them all out on tables, and the director comes and walks through and just is able to look at them and cool. Make sure that, you know, it's what they need, and just they can see the sizes and so how they need to shoot it and everything. And so I love that. I love being able to see what we've produced, and from props and from the art department. And it's always fun to see their faces. And then that coin, like we did make those coins. You know, they were very specific on, you know, on what we needed to have. And so we were able to pull that together. And then one of our team members in our office was actually able to print those, like 3D print those coins for us.
Oh, I was like, what were they made of? But they were just 3D printed. That's amazing.
Yeah. I should say, I guess maybe 3D print is not the right word, but she took like you can get smooth blank coins.
Yep.
And then she, I guess, etched them.
Yeah.
Laser.
You got it. Yes.
So not 3D printed. My bad.
Yes. But they go together. A lot of times when you see a 3D printer, you've got a laser printer right there too. So you get it.
So we did them that way, which was cool, and it gave it that genuine weight, you know. So when we see, you know, them flipping the coin and it landing, it's got the weight of a coin and everything, as opposed to, you know, printing it plastic or just renting fake coins that you can't see. So there were genuine coins for us.
And treasure maps with hidden words in them.
So many maps. It can get confusing, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Keeping track of every map.
Yeah.
I leave that to the art director. I go, you know what? You're so good at it.
Yeah, you do that. But I imagine with as much details, as detailed as you guys are, that it's like, when we do a map with Benson Hills, every time Benson Hills is going to be in the right spot. Like, it's just
absolutely. No, we are very diligent on that. And a lot of our conversations with our showrunner at the top of the season was knowing that there was going to be this kind of map storyline, whether it was the provincial park and those boundaries, or it was, you know, looking for this treasure. So those maps had to make sure they were cohesive, even though they're different storylines. So there was a lot of figuring out, okay, this is our block 1 map and we're talking about these things, but we're gonna have to talk about elements down the road, so those need to appear on the map now. So if you need to let us know what those elements block 6 are, so that we can incorporate it on this map. So there was a lot of figuring out, and then like, being like, oh no, we need to change everything. And it was a lot of work to get those maps perfect, or at least as close to perfect as we could do it.
Yeah, well, they were pretty fun to watch. And there are some of us who are literally like freezing the screen and like studying them, so all of the efforts do not go in vain.
I
We're
love that.
keeping it up. So shifting gears to season 13, which I know it's such a ways off for us, but your brain starts going, okay, we know Nathan, Elizabeth, Little Jack, and Allie are in Cape Fullerton, and they got there by train. So the pressing question is, can all 4 of them fit in that car, in that, that, what do we call that? A train carriage?
It's the dining car.
The dining car. Can they all fit in there?
Oh yes, it's 7 feet by 7 feet by 8 feet.
Okay. Well, it's plausible that we could find them
Absolutely.
in the car. We could find
Absolutely.
them.
Especially like you've got 2 adults and 2 younger people beside. Absolutely.
And totally do it.
And there's a lot of, like, I really want to bring that back, because there's a lot of elements of that train car that didn't get on set.
Yeah.
We couldn't finish a lot of that on time. Like honestly. So I hope
And they'll be there at the beginning of the season, so it's the perfect time to set up the train, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's some additions I need to make in that. So
yeah.
I'm not done with that.
We also, Fiona sold the salon.
Yeah.
So any dreams in your mind or are you just going to wait and see, okay, what are we going to do with this salon?
Well, I mean, we did that in what, season 8? That one was a bit of a baby for me. I was really excited decorating that one. Me and Blake was my assistant decorator at the time when I was decorating, and we drove we went on a road trip to source those barbershop chairs and to find 2 matching. And then of course that beautiful I mean, everything in that was like, that's such a beautiful set.
Yeah.
So I hope that it actually stays maybe the same, but maybe we find something new to do in there. I don't necessarily want to get rid of the set. I don't necessarily want to do a brand new set, because I don't feel like that set's been played with as enough. But I mean, I'll have fun transforming it if it happens. But here's hoping it stays the salon. Here's hoping that we still have a place, particularly for the women to come and chat. We use the cafe a lot because it's beautiful and it's homey. But to me, that's the family space, and the salon has become kind of like this more intimate space for the women to come. And so I hope we utilize that a little bit more for that. They deserve a place to go and drink their tea in peace.
Is that where May and Elizabeth and Rosemary danced?
Yeah.
Was that in the salon? Yeah.
I loved that so much. That was like that just like reiterated for me, how I was hoping that space could be played is that really like just warm. It was so the colors are in there are very warm and inviting. And it's very intimate. So I would love to see that. I don't want it to change.
We need to start a Save the Salon campaign.
I'm all here for it. All here for it.
Not that you can share anything about season 13, but have you gotten word? Are you already dreaming at all on anything?
I wish I had something.
Wouldn't that help you out a lot?
I wish. Yeah, I mean, we're just in the we all, this is all new to us, right? I haven't been planning anything because I didn't know. And so it's I mean, I hope I get to maybe expand on some of the homes that the new homes that are being built between the Hickoms and Nathan and Elizabeth, and that would be fun. I really
Maybe fun if you didn't have to change out Rosemary and Lee's house and Nathan and Allie's house all the time,
I
right?
know I would really like to just make one household for them, so that eliminates. But watch, then they'll give the Hickams a row house or something. Typical. But I mean, there's I've always wanted to turn that Home Depot set into like a swing set or something. So because right now it's just kind of an empty facade, but I'm like, that's where we built the hallway to the Hickams.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, okay, we've gone that far.
Yeah.
Can we go a little bit farther? So we'll see, but I haven't received any storyline yet. I'm hoping like
they do need a place, because aren't they living up above, and it's like a crowded place right now, like the Hickams, like they need their own place.
Yeah, we built their home, but like, which is like beneath the boots and shoes, and I can't remember the name of that. But you know, because that's the way it used to be, is like you lived on top of businesses. So that was the idea, is that they lived underneath a storefront. And you know, we of course cheated those sets and what that looked like. But then it flooded, and so we don't know how that really turned out. We saw them moving everything out of there. Who knows if they moved anything back, or if they're looking for a new place.
Yeah.
So because I think they ended up staying at the cafe.
They did. Right. Well, and Amanda had shared, she's like, well, if we stay there, it would be fun to see Mike and May kind of interacting with Lily, because they're all in that same space now, you know. So that was cute.
Yeah. So we'll see how, you know, I'm not sure where they plan on taking that yet. But that's definitely in the back of my head. Just the fear of designing another house. It's always there.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would love to go into a different city again. Like, let's maybe.
Where do we need? Well, Cape Fullerton.
Cape Fullerton, yeah. Yeah. So I would
you're going to be designing something for Cape Fullerton, because we know that they're going to be there for a little bit. So
it makes sense. So that's just the sort of stuff I'm anticipating. But who knows? I mean, they really knocked my socks off this season. I didn't anticipate any of that, so I can't even begin to make assumptions.
Well, your whole team showed them what you guys are capable of, so I'm sure was this your biggest scene or your biggest season as far as design? Yeah.
I mean, that was only my second year as designer. I had just been decorator prior to that, which I mean, of course, has its own responsibilities. But yeah, you know, I always had somebody else to fall onto. When I needed something. Not that, of course, I've got amazing people in my court, but yeah, to be leading the team for a season like that was challenging, overwhelming, but extremely rewarding. And absolutely, and I love learning and growing, and so that's what that was for me. And I'll take what I learned, good or bad, and hope to do even better in season 13.
Well, it was very impressive. Very impressive.
Thank you.
So to wrap, after another season of When Calls the Heart, what continues to make this show a special place to work, and what keeps you excited to come back the next year?
I mean, honestly, we get to work with like the same people every year, and that could be the sad thing about the film industry, is because it's always a rotating set, it's a rotating crew, it's a rotating show, and so it's hard. It's not like an office job where you get to go in and see the same people every day, love or hate them. But the comforts of that are so easily lost in the film industry, and so to be able to pull up to set, get out and go have breakfast with people that you've been working with for me for 9 years is such a joy. And so many of them are genuinely my family. You know, actually related to some of them now. And so that's just so special. And so many of us have kids now. And so now seeing our kids get to run around on set together is such a beautiful thing. And we're lucky because this show, you know, as long as everyone's being safe, you know, we get to bring that bit of home to
Mhm,
us.
mhm.
We work such long days and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And so knowing that you have that comfort and that understanding and that work-life balance, you can't help but be just so full, being able to sign that contract for
Yeah.
another year.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that. And just the support, whether it's the people on the show or the Hearties. It's we love what we do, but knowing other people love what we do, that's the reward. Just knowing that people care is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's just a beautiful story. I mean, but that's a given. We know that.
So many really good things to be thankful for and
I
celebrate,
know. It's
right?
like you're not gonna
Yeah.
get me to pick just one.
Yeah. That's okay though. That's okay. It's a gift. So, well, this has been such a treat. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing. I mean, we always have a list of things that we want to know at the end of the season. How did they do that? How did they pull that off? How did they do that off? So, thank you. Kudos to you. Kudos to your team. But thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank you.
It was a blast. So, thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Yeah, I had fun. Yeah. And feel free to, if you guys got any questions, just shoot me a message and I'll try and answer them.
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks so much. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.